Hi, I'm Bonnie Kelly with World at Work TV. Today I have Robin Colman with me from eBay to discuss compensation committees. If someone has never attended a compensation committee meeting, what do you suggest they do to prepare for that meeting?
Well, I think that the inclination is to jump right into what are the topics for that committee meeting, what are you going to do right then. I would actually suggest that what people do is back up and make sure that they know a lot about the context of the committee meeting before they start looking at the content. So they should research their committee members. They should know what positions they held in the past. They should know if they sit on any other boards. If they do sit on any other boards, they should understand as much as they can about that. And it's golden if they serve on another compensation committee, because then you can call and talk to your counterpart at that other company and understand about the things that they'll be seeing in that committee or how they conduct themselves.
So is your recommendation then to make that connection potentially with the same person in your role at that company, or are there other ways to research and get that background data?
I would start with the publicly available information, but I've always found that my counterparts have been quite happy to talk with me. They won't be sharing exactly the details of the kinds of compensation proposals that they're putting in front of their committee members, but they will tell me about the flow, the general topics. It's always good if there's going to be a market study, if the committee member is going to hear it first from someone else. I'd like to hear as much as I can about that before I get started.
Well, I think it's always good too, I've found, to understand the chair. They have certain reports if they've sat on other compensation committees and ways they like to see things, so sometimes that can be really beneficial as well.
Absolutely.
Is to get an understanding of how that chair may like to run the meeting or the format that they like to see data in.
I actually think that you should do the same with your management. Understand who comes to the committee, why do they come, what role have they played in the past. How does your CEO like to conduct himself or herself? How does your CFO, if he or she comes, want to do it? And also understanding when your role with your head of HR, if they're there, how are you going to do that? If you don't attend the meeting yourself and you're preparing for someone else, I would still recommend that you take those steps.
Do you have any tips or suggestions for actually running a successful meeting?
So my favorite is to make sure that you know what your job is, what you're going to be expected to present. So when you walk into the meeting, you shouldn't be doing hand signals with people across the table to see who's supposed to cover which topics. My goal in meetings is to have them have rich dialogue, but not have anybody be surprised. So I want to make sure that everyone is as prepared with the information before they go in. If there are conflicts, that we know about them ahead of time so you can prepare people with others' points of view, that you know what your consultant, if you have a compensation committee consultant, that you know what he or she will be thinking about any of the topics that are coming up on the table, so that you can run a nice, smooth meeting, and so that the things that come up, while they may be, not everyone may not agree, you can still have a discourse that is cordial and rich and comes to a good conclusion.
I think no surprises is key for the comp committee meeting, and I think with my experience reaching out in advance to the compensation consultant and reviewing the materials and making sure he or she does not have any issues or hot button items, because that could lead to some surprises in the actual meeting. Where do you think you add the most value in the process?
I think I add the most value in outlooking what is going to come up over an entire year cycle, or perhaps even longer, so that we're outlooking the information or the topics that are going to come up, the changes we might be making in our programs, and how we're going to want to present those to the committee, and what we need to do to get our own house in order before we go to the committee. Who do I need to align on new program design? Have I gotten the accountants and the lawyers engaged in doing the work they need to do? Do I have the support of senior management? Are we ready? Do they need more than one preparation session to feel like we're arriving at a program that they like and they're willing to present? I think that the value that I add is, again, to be the planner and then the executor of that plan. There's no one else who's going to step in and say, have you taken all the steps so that you're ready to go?
Many comp committees have a consultant that reports directly to the committee. How is working with the committee's consultant different with working with a management consultant? Some companies have both, some don't. Have you experienced both, or one or the other, that you could share some of your experiences with us?
At eBay now, we actually have 2 consultants. We didn't design it that way. We had one consultant. Our compensation committee was quite happy with us having a consultant who was hired by the committee but was working with management, and we could prepare with them very openly ahead of the meeting. And then with some of the changes in the consulting firm, our consultant moved into more of a boutique operation, and he didn't have the staff to give us the support we needed. So we use another firm to do that. And because that firm has more information about the technology space that we work in, we actually bring both consultants to the committee. It works because they're cooperative with each other. The challenge with the committee's consultant is that their first loyalty is to the committee and the board, and sometimes they are cautious about the kinds of things that they're going to want to share. If the committee has brought up issues or concerns about programs or individual compensation, the consultant does not want to be the voice of that from the committee. But we'd also love to have the heads up. I think it's realizing that if there is an alliance, it really is with that consultant and the committee members and not with us. And that you have to just accept that and work as well around that as you can.
How do you handle some of the issues? You know, it sounds like everybody's working harmonious together, the comp committee's consultant, management's consultant. But, you know I've been in some situations where you're in the middle of trying to balance the wants of the committee and the needs of management, and how do you facilitate and kind of manage through that with both of those forces kind of coming at you when you're in a comp committee meeting and you're discussing the issues?
Yeah, I've been in compensation committee meetings from a variety of organizations, and they are not always smooth. And there are often board members who have a point of view that is different from the management of the company. And the hardest time is when they feel that they should be dictating how the programs ought to be designed, rather than deciding if they believe that the way that the CEO has suggested that the programs be administered or designed, if they're just deciding if that's an appropriate way or not. And so I think the hardest part about that is making sure that everyone is prepared ahead of time. Our CEO doesn't always agree with our committee members, but if he knows ahead of time what their concerns are and how they might be reacting, then he's prepared to address those concerns in a constructive way.
Right.
And I think that's really the best. I know that there are places where the committee and the management is really at odds with each other, and you do your very best to help it so that people understand that they're supposed to be talking in a way that gets the organization to the very best place. But sometimes it's out of our hands.
Yeah. Sometimes that leads to more comp committee meetings.
It does.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Robin. For World of Work TV, this is Bonnie Kelly.